All right, what's good, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson, BamaInsider.com, coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm on the phone right now with Andrew Bone. What's up, man? How you been, Bone?
What's up, Kyle? How you been, brother?
Man, I've been so eager to get you on because there's been so much recruiting. I haven't even been able to get a hold of you. It's just like nonstop recruiting nuggets on BamaInsider.com. But I'm glad you're here today.
Yeah, it's obviously when camp season starts, it gets pretty busy. People don't realize how many kids are actually on campus. I mean, they have just hundreds and hundreds of kids, and we try to spotlight the top kids that are on campus, and there's some days where they don't even know who's actually going to show up. I mean, there's days where kids just pop in and they may just be coming in for a day. They may decide to work out for one session of the camp, throw for the coaches, or catch balls from the coaches, or do lineman drills for the coaches, something like that. It's just there's just so many kids that we try to catch up every single day of who's coming in, who's coming out, where things stand with each one of these prospects once they visit and check everything out. And it's a lot of information. So as long as you stay tuned to Bama Insider, especially on the recruiting board right now, you kind of have an idea of what's all going on. And we're seeing so many kids get offers, mostly underclassmen right now, at these camps. You see a few 2020 kids getting offers, and we'll talk about those guys here in a bit. But a lot of these 2021, 2022, we've even seen some 2023 kids that have picked up offers over the course of the last few days. And I think the majority of those guys are still, hey, you're good enough right now. How good are you going to be a year from now? Is Alabama still going to be recruiting these guys? Are they still going to be top end targets? How many commitments is Alabama going to have at their position or overall in next year's class? Because they're at a big number right now. You look at this 2020 recruiting class, and we're in the month of June, and Alabama has 17 commitments already, and that's just that's an eye-opening number for this time of the year. But what a lot of people don't realize is, or they may realize that they just may forget about is how much the recruiting calendar has just moved up significantly with the with the early signing period, because you're seeing so many kids sign early these days. I mean, the majority of these recruiting classes, whether it's Alabama or Auburn or Georgia or Clemson, whoever, majority of these kids are now signing early. And we're seeing schools like Alabama wait on maybe 4 or 5 guys in the month of January. Well, what are you doing in the month of January if you're recruiting only 4 or 5 guys? Well, you're going out and you're seeing you're stopping by schools that have the next wave of kids, next year's recruiting class. So they're ahead, jumping ahead and recruiting those guys. So it makes the recruiting calendar move up, and now these recruits are able to take official visits earlier and earlier. We're seeing them take official visits in the spring and in the summer, and they're narrowing down their list, even more just earlier and earlier these days, and they're being recruited earlier because of this whole recruiting calendar. So it definitely changes the game up a lot. And a lot of people look at Alabama's recruiting class and say, wow, they've already taken 17 commitments. Well, if this was a couple years ago, I mean, it'd almost be like we were in October at 17 commitments. That's just how much the recruiting calendar has completely changed, and the way the recruiting cycle goes these days. So they're at a good number, but they're still trying to get a lot more guys on board.
We're here with Andrew Bone of BamaInsider.com. A good page right now to go to is obviously BamaInsider.com, but on the front page, I manage what's called the trending section, and I organize all of Andrew Bone's recruiting updates. And, he's pumping out a ton of interviews this week. So if you want to go to BamaInsider.com, look for the trending page, and you can find every single update there. We'll talk about here in a little bit the new Rivals 250 and kind of some movers and shakers in that regard. But Bone, I wanted to catch up with you and get your take on Shedeur Sanders. That's Deion Sanders' son, who was offered actually on Tuesday night by Alabama. Can you give us the backstory on Shedeur, and is this does this offer surprise you? What do we know about Shedeur Sanders? Checked him out earlier. Seems like a great kid, 3.9 GPA, and of course he's the son of primetime.
Yeah, How do you not recruit the son of primetime? I mean, that's just Yeah, that's just one of those kids. He's got some good genes. I mean, best DB to ever play the game. But then his son's a quarterback, so he's a great kid. He's got good size. 6'1" and 6'2", about 190 pounds. Very athletic, obviously. But he's has a great arm, and showcased himself in front of Alabama yesterday, and got offered by Coach Sark and Coach Saban. And I certainly think that he likes Alabama. He came to camp to earn the offer, and he did. And I think a lot's probably going to depend on what happens in this 2020 class as far as quarterbacks is concerned. Are they going to take? How many quarterbacks will they take? Will they take one? Will they take two? Right now they're just trying to find one, and who's that going to be? They're still trying to figure that out. Now, next year's recruiting class, 2021, there seems like there's a lot of guys out there that Alabama has already extended offers to. We had an interview up on Bama Insider today with Jalen Milroe, who's out of Katy, Texas, who's a big time prospect. I mean, he's got a ton of offers, and pretty much came out and said that Alabama's in the driver's seat for him at this time. So, that's certainly going to be a big time guy to follow and kind of watch and see where his recruitment goes over the course of the next year. But yeah, I mean, Deion's got a son that now has an offer from Alabama. He's from the state of Texas. Will he end up staying in the state of Texas? Will he end up, leaving? Will he follow in his father's footsteps and go to Florida State? He has another son who signed with South Carolina in 2019, Shiloh Sanders. So we'll see what ends up happening. But obviously, I'm sure there was a lot of excitement having Deion on campus yesterday, and then obviously a lot of excitement for him and his family, for his son to get that offer.
Great time to join BamaInsider.com right now with all the recruiting action going on. Bone has it all covered on BamaInsider.com. If you want the free 30 days, go to the website and look for the sign-up page and check out. The promo code is simply Roll Tide. College students, if you're out there, no, we've all been there. It's tough to go month to month, but we got a special college offer for you, so hit me up, Kyle at BamaInsider.com. Hey, Bone, some big-time targets rolling through Tuscaloosa all the month of June, but just recently we had Zachary Evans and Darnell Washington, two key targets. What's the latest on them? And, I mean, does Alabama have a serious shot at landing either of these two 5-stars?
Well, I think so. Getting both these guys on campus early in the month of June, you never want to kind of go through, maybe the first few weeks of June. And, obviously these kids are, they're limited in terms of how much they can visit during the summer. And, they try to get to as many schools as possible. But, when they take one of their first visits of the summer to Alabama, it's always a big plus. And getting Zachary Evans, the 5-star running back, on campus for the first time since last summer was huge for Alabama, because he just recently named his top 5 schools, and Alabama was on that short list, along with Oklahoma and LSU and Ohio State and Georgia. He's certainly a top tier target for all those programs, and he has high interest in Alabama. Now he has a teammate, Damian George, who's also very high on Alabama, has Alabama in his top 2. And both of them have talked about playing together at the next level. So I certainly think that Alabama's in a very good position with him. Am I going to go out and say that Alabama's his leader? No, I don't think we're there just yet. In terms of saying that, and I don't think Alabama's there either in terms of them feeling like they're in the driver's seat for him. I think they feel like they've got a chance. They're going to continue to recruit him just like all these other top programs are, and just kind of see where things go, see where it lands. Excuse me. This visit was not an official visit. It was just an unofficial visit. So we know that he's going to be making his way back to Tuscaloosa sometime over the next few months. I would be surprised if this I'll be surprised if he makes it back to Tuscaloosa this summer, just because travel has been kind of an issue with him and getting to different places. But getting to Alabama, he's probably going to try to fit in these other visits, try to go to these other schools this summer, and then take his official visit down the road. But I certainly think that Alabama has certainly made a strong impression on him. And this was his first visit back to Tuscaloosa since last summer. So it's been a while since he's made it back to Alabama. This is just kind of a refresher for him, spending time with the coaches. Now, last time he was on campus, Alabama did not have Charles Huff as the running backs coach. So kind of building that relationship with him, building a relationship with Steve Sarkisian, the offensive coordinator. Obviously, that's a new relationship for him as well. So he's having to build new relationships there. So it's just going to continue to. That's just what they're going to continue to do over the course of the next several months until he gets ready to make that decision. Now, Darnell Washington, just an absolute freak athlete, 6'7", 250, 260 pounds. Just an absolute monster out of Las Vegas. This is his second visit to Alabama in the last couple months. I keep seeing people post, whether it's on social media or wherever it may be, you got to follow the visits. You got to follow, and this kid keeps coming back to Alabama. Well, he's going to other places as well. He's not just going to Alabama. So people really don't need to, in my opinion, people don't need to pay that much attention to it. Now, is it a good thing that he's made it to Tuscaloosa twice? Yes, but Alabama is not the only place that he's visited twice over the course of the last few months. He's also visited Auburn. Auburn, if we're going, by that, then Auburn should feel good about him too. He visited Florida State the other day. I think Alabama is definitely high on his list. I think he's got a great relationship with Jeff Banks. He's the one that's been recruiting him, and they've got a very good relationship. Alabama's in a big need of tight end. You look at Alabama's, recent guys who've gone in the NFL draft, and the way that, especially the way that they used Irv Smith last year. I think that really helps out when recruiting elite tight ends. But he looks and he also sees O.J. Howard was a first-round NFL draft pick. So. Yeah, I think that Alabama's definitely a strong contender in the race for him. He spent a day in Tuscaloosa, and I definitely expect him to be back for an official visit. But to say, oh well, he keeps on visiting Alabama, they must be in the driver's seat. That's not necessarily the case. He's visiting other schools as well. Is visiting other schools just as much as he's visiting Alabama. So we have to really kind of be patient on that and wait and see, who are going to be his 5 official visits? Who's he going to? Who does he feel like he fits in best with? It's a long way to go for him before he makes that decision. Could I see him in Alabama's class? For sure. Am I ready to forecast him to Alabama? Not yet. I think that would be just jumping the gun a little bit. But I think Alabama's done a great job recruiting him so far, and we'll see how it goes over the course of the next several months before he makes that decision.
Hey, thanks for listening today. My name is Kyle Henderson. I'm alongside Andrew Bone. Follow his forecast page. You can find it on the trending page that we have right now on BamaInsider.com. Good place to bookmark and catch all of Andrew Bone's recruiting forecast. Bone, who else has been in Tuscaloosa this week? There's so many guys. We've hit on a couple, early targets, but who are some other major players that have made their way to T-Town this week?
Well, there's been a lot of guys. I think that Alabama's done a tremendous job of bringing guys in, not only for camp, but just guys, even if they're coming in for just 1 day or 2 days, just to hang out, spend some time. I think what a lot of people don't realize, during camp season is, a lot of people kind of focus in on who's coming to camp. Well, camp, may start on, this day and end on that day. Well, in between, there's guys that are popping in, and they may be participating in the camp. They may just be hanging out for a day, spending some time with the coaches. But some guys that made their way to Tuscaloosa actually yesterday that weren't originally on our list of guys who were visiting. Jalen Berger, who's a Rivals 100 running back out of New Jersey. I thought that was big for Alabama to get somebody like him on campus because we just hadn't been talking about him. Nobody really knew that he was going to be making it to Alabama, and he popped in. We hadn't had a chance to get up with him just yet, but hopefully we'll talk to him pretty soon and get his reaction about the trip. Philip Webb, a Rivals 100 inside linebacker who was also there yesterday out of Lanier High School in Georgia. He's going to be making a decision at the end of the summer. And Alabama is definitely a school that is very high on his list. He's made a few trips to Alabama over the course of the last few months, and Alabama definitely wants him in this class. He's an inside linebacker, and they're trying to get at least one or maybe two more inside linebackers in this year's class, and he's certainly a guy that they like a lot. Jacqueline Roy, Rivals 100 defensive tackle out of Baton Rouge, was also in Tuscaloosa for a day, maybe 2 days, worked out at camp, and had a really good showing at the camp. I mean, definitely one of the top defensive tackles on Alabama's recruiting board that they really like a lot. Probably will end up being a battle between Alabama and LSU. We've seen so many Alabama LSU recruiting battles, especially on the defensive line throughout the last several years, and that one seems to, that one definitely seems to be one that's going to be interesting all the way towards the end. We saw LSU commitment Keyshawn Boot come into Tuscaloosa, Rivals 100 wide receiver. Just a lot of big names that have made it to Alabama over the course of the last few days, and we keep seeing. It seems like every day we see kids that we didn't know that were there post pictures from the camp. So it's been good to kind of catch up with a lot of these guys, and obviously we've got a ton of stories on Bama Insider, about these prospects that have visited. We've seen a few junior college guys visit. I think a lot of people were making a big deal the other day about Maurice Wren, junior college athlete. I guess that's the best term for him. Junior college athlete. Some people have him rated as a wide receiver. He's 6'2.5", about 240 pounds. Worked out at Alabama's camp at inside linebacker and defensive end. Now he's played a little bit. He's played a lot of offense too, but he's being recruited mainly as a defender. And he basically was ready to commit. He was ready to sign up and do everything and graduate in December and enroll at Alabama in January. But Alabama didn't offer him, and I think they want to wait and watch him a little bit more, kind of see what he's able to do this fall before they go all in and offer him a scholarship. But he's certainly a guy that we'll keep an eye on over the course of the next few months, especially early on in his sophomore season at Tyler Junior College in Texas.
See, if you were a member of BamaInsider.com, you could just get all this information all day long for Andrew Bones. So what are you waiting for? Go to the website. Free 30 days. The promo code is Roll Tide. If you're a college student, hit me up. You got a college cover charge from me, Kyle at BamaInsider.com. Bone, we've seen so many younger guys get offers from Alabama, but some from the class of 2020. There's a Florida commitment, Joe Williams, who recently pulled in an offer. Another guy from that's committed to Maryland. Can you what's the latest with some of those 2020 guys after they've attended the Crimson Tide's camp?
Well, I'd really watch out for Joe Williams. He's a really talented cornerback out of Baton Rouge. He is committed to Florida. He committed to Florida back in May, but ever since then, his recruitment's kind of taken off even more. Got that offer from Alabama a couple of days ago, and he said he dreamed of playing at Alabama. This was his dream to get that offer, and he has that offer. And I asked him, I said, well, are you planning on coming back? He's like, you don't even have to ask me that question. I'll be there. And he seems like he's very high on Alabama, a little bit closer to home. And I think that Alabama's got a chance to possibly get involved with him in terms of getting him on the recruiting board. He's being recruited as a cornerback. Most of Alabama has 4 DB commitments, but I'm not sure Alabama's sold on any of those guys being a true outside corner. I think all of those guys, can play just about anything. Jaquez Robinson worked out at corner the other day, and I think he did a really good job. And they're probably looking at him more as a corner now. Javier Morton, Malachi Moore, Brian Branch. I think you can move any of those guys around in the secondary, and they can have some success. But really trying to find another true outside corner in this class, and maybe even 2 more outside corners. So if they can flip Joel Williams, which I think they've got a good chance to, I think he's certainly a guy that they want to try to flip. Ruben Hippolyte, I'm going by that. Maybe it's pronounced another way, but Ruben Hippolyte is a linebacker from MacArthur High School in Hollywood, Florida. He's committed to Maryland. Made his trip up to Tuscaloosa yesterday. Is actually going up to Clemson's camp today, so he's hoping to earn an offer from them. Kind of looks more like a Clemson linebacker than an Alabama linebacker. He's 5'11" and a half, 225 pounds. Now he ran a four flat. That'd be pretty fast. 4.5 flat 40 at Alabama's camp on Tuesday. So really impressive showing there. Alabama's linebacker numbers are, they're pretty high right now because it's more outside linebacker type guys, but they're looking at some inside linebackers. They're really trying to get another, I would say, one or two inside linebackers in this class. I mean, definitely one. And we mentioned one that they really like earlier, Philip Webb. It's going to be making a decision at the end of the summer. He's been kind of on their top end list for a while. They're really working to try to get a couple of these other elite players in town for visits this summer, like Justin Flo out of California, the number one linebacker in the country. Noah Sewell, who is from the state of Utah. A lot of people remember his name, his last name, because his brother, Penei Sewell, was recruited by Alabama a few years ago as an offensive lineman, ended up signing with Oregon, but Alabama really liked him a lot, but he ends up staying a little bit closer to home. Now, most people probably think his brother Noah is going to end up going to Oregon as well, and Oregon's obviously recruiting at a high level and getting a lot of good players right now, so nobody would be surprised if he ended up going there as well, but Alabama's definitely trying to get him on an official. So I think what Alabama would really like to do is, if they can get Philip Webb on board, if they can, wait, they would really like to wait and see what happens with maybe some of these other top end guys before they make a decision on somebody, like Ruben Hippolyte. If they can, but he's certainly a guy that they like. I mean, I wouldn't, count him out yet. I think he's, obviously just got an offer, but I also think at the same time that they may be having to wait and see what happens with some other guys before they actually take them.
Hey, Bone, so we're closing out the program. The Rivals.com recently released their new 250, and there was some movers and shakers. You talked about it earlier this week on BamaInsider.com. Today, they added the complete 250. Javon Baker, he's down 7 spots. Roydale Williams up 122 spots. Jones Bell up 128 spots. Can you touch on the 250 real quick?
Yeah, it's a lot of people have kind of been waiting on Rivals to update their rankings because it hasn't been updated, I think, since February, and that's a long period of time to go in between rankings because there's just so much that going on throughout the year. That all the camps and all these offers, and you have kids that commit to Alabama or Ohio State or whoever it may be, and when their original ranking came out, they may not have been ranked. They may have been a 3-star, or they didn't have these offers, these big offers. They may have had only a couple offers or no offers, and you're just kind of going by what you've seen on film. But then you have the camp season, and you get a chance to see so many good players. You get a chance to compare them to other players that you've seen throughout the year, and then you see kids that start getting offers and committing and stuff like that. So it's a big change, and obviously Rivals takes a little bit longer to post the updated rankings because they wait until after all the camps. They don't just update the rankings after one camp or two camps. They wait until all the camps are over, and then they sit down and kind of sort through it all and figure out who's going to be their top end guys. I thought some of the Alabama kids that were in the top 100, I thought they were well deserving. Kids like Chris Braswell, who's still a 5-star recruit, outside linebacker, rush in from Washington D.C. I thought, Baltimore. St. Francis. I thought he was obviously a shoe-in for a 5-star. Been a 5-star for a while. Drew Sanders, the outside linebacker, athlete from Texas, was committed to Oklahoma. He shot up pretty big. I think he jumped about 30-something spots, maybe 31 spots overall. I think he's now number 66 overall in the Rivals 100. Staying in the Rivals 100, Quandarius Robinson. Big move for him. I've been saying this for a while. I thought Quandarius Robinson was the best player in the state of Alabama. Well, back in February, whenever it was, when maybe it was January, and when the rankings were out, he was listed as maybe the number 8 or 9 player in the state, which I was just. It may have been better than that, but whatever his ranking was, I strongly disagreed with it. I thought he was a easy top 100 type guy, and he went from, I think, in the 200, 225 range all the way to number 28 overall in the country. So I think he's certainly a borderline 5-star. In my opinion, he's a 5-star guy. He's a borderline 5-star guy in the Rivals rankings right now, and I think if he continues to have success in games and camps and all-star games, then he's got a chance to really move up into that, solidify himself as a 5-star type kid. So outside of the Rivals 100 in the 250, you mentioned Thal Jones-Bell, Roydell Williams, both make significant jumps. I think those two guys obviously have a good chance to be in the top 100 when all is said and done. Roydell Williams moving pretty significantly high and all the way to the number 2 overall spot in the state of Alabama, just outside the top 100. So he's certainly a kid that I think highly of, and I thought was. I've been thinking for a while that he was clearly the number 2 player in the state behind Quandarius Robinson, and I think he's got a good chance to make it into the top 100.
Hey, Bone, before we let you go, can you provide an update on Chris Boswell, Alabama's 5-star? When does he plan to come back to T-Town, and how strong is his pledge to the Crimson Tide?
Well, I think he's arriving in Tuscaloosa tomorrow. I'm going to spend a couple days in Tuscaloosa for his official visit. Kind of surprised he's making an official all the way this early, being an Alabama commitment. We usually see kids that usually do their official visits this early, or kids that might be making their decisions, before their senior season starts. They're from the West Coast, or they're from somewhere up the East Coast, somewhere just a little bit further away. And obviously he's from the East Coast, he's from Baltimore, but being a commitment, you don't really see that commitment. You don't really see commitments take early official visits like this. But and of course, when I posted that about a week ago that he was coming in for his official visit, it kind of worried some of the fans on Bama Insider that, now we're going to have to worry about him taking official visits elsewhere, and he won't be coming back to Tuscaloosa. Well, I don't. This may be a situation where he comes in for his official visit and completely shuts it down afterwards, because he seems pretty set on Alabama. He hasn't really taken any other visits. And he told me last week, he said that he, as of right now, doesn't plan on taking visits. So we'll have to watch him over the course of the next several months, especially during the season, see if he ends up going anywhere. But I got a feeling he'll be back in Tuscaloosa a few more times in the fall, regardless of him having already used his official visit.
Hey, you wanted the best. You got this. You got the best right here from Andrew Bone. Killing it on the recruiting front. Go to BamaInsider.com. Sign up for a free 30-day trial. Hey, what do you have to lose? It's free. Roll Tide is the promo code. College students, hit me up. Kyle at BamaInsider.com. You know where we're coming to you from. Beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. For Kyle Henderson and Andrew Bone, this is the BamaInsider.com. Talking champions right here on our YouTube channel. Head on over to BamaInsider.com. Do not miss the recruiting nuggets. They're being dropped daily from Andrew Bone. We'll catch up with you guys soon. Until next time, my friends. Talk soon.